Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be talking about the week that was in pro wrestling. That includes WWE Monday Night Raw and NWA Power. My apologies, I did not watch Dynamite Grand Slam this week because I had a previous engagement. So, for today, it is just going to be Raw and Power. We start off Raw with pretty much everybody getting into the arena. Liv Morgan and Dom arrive in a lowrider. Let's call it what it is. A la Eddie Guerrero. And as they're entering the arena, a couple of kaiju cross their path. They start brawling. It's Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman. And so I love what they're doing with Reed and Strowman. Yes, they're not having matches, but this is just as good. And I can't wait for that final matchup. So Liv and Dominic, they walk right through that, go to the arena, go to the ring. Liv's music pops in, and they cut a promo. With Liv saying, you know what we did last week? We just did. It's called a victory lap. And the Revenge Tour is going exactly as planned. And she shows footage of Judgment Day beating up Rhea and Priest last week. Then Liv gets back on the mic, says, Rhea, I promised to take everything from you, and I absolutely did. And in 2 weeks, the tour comes, and then at that point, Rhea Ripley comes out, hits the ring, pretty much says, Liv, I need you to shut the heck up. Although she didn't say heck. She gets in the ring, with Liv kind of going into a fighting stance, hiding behind Dom, with Rhea saying, oh, don't worry your pretty little head, I'm not going to hit you. You hear that? And then crowd starts chanting something. I didn't really catch it, but then Rhea says, hear that, Liv? There's something I need to tell you. Then Dom walks in between them, with Rhea telling Dom, well, look who found their cojones. Liv then retorts, says, if you really cared about Dom, you would have stayed. But you obviously care more about Priest. Rhea then reveals, look, right now I am not cleared to compete, but I'm going to beat you. No, this is Liv, actually. She says, I'm not going to beat you because I'm stronger or faster. I'm going to beat you because I'm smarter than you. I've had you beat up here for months, and at Bad Blood. No, now this is Rhea. I'm cleared. And Liv, the only reason you won and retained your title is because you had Dom. But at Bad Blood, Dom, you're going to be behind bars, held up in the ring in a shark cage. And at Bad Blood, I'm going to win my title back. And as Rhea goes to leave, she stops, kind of gives us a little smirk, turns back around and says, oh, I also lied. And she just headbutts Liv to end the segment. That was an absolutely great opening segment. Here's my only thing. The last time we had a shark cage match was Big Cass, aka Big Bill, taking on the Big Show with Enzo Amore in the cage, and he lubed himself up and escaped. I kind of hope we don't get that. Like, shark cage matches have pretty much either been, oh, dude dropped something down to help their partner or whatever. If we're going to do this shark cage thing, keep him in the cage. Maybe have Priest be involved somehow. Or Jay. Ooh, that'd be good. So, that's it for that opening segment. We now go to our first matchup of the evening, as it's Sami Zayn taking on Ludwig Kaiser. And if Sami wins, he gets his title shot against Gunther. And this match was really, really good. Ludwig got a lot of really good timing. At one point, he does go for his drop kick into the steel steps, but Sami pretty much whiffs it. Ducks it. Gets him back in the ropes. Back in, tries for the Blue Thunder Bomb. That gets blocked into a kind of a roll-up situation, but then Kaiser's feet are in the ropes for leverage, but the ref sees it, catches himself, and does not count the 3. So that's pretty neat. Sami Zayn with a big old exploder in the corner, goes for the Helluva Kick. Kaiser rolls to the outside. It's a big old enziguri. Gets back in. Goes for a DDT. That gets blocked by Sami. Sami with a suplex and a Helluva Kick to pick up the win. That was the right move. But here comes something interesting. Immediately after, out comes Gunther. He's in his wrestling gear. He's ready to go. He gets a microphone. He says, Sami, for weeks, you've been begging me for a title match, and I have seen enough. If you really want this, tonight is the right time to tell you no. Oh, that was hilarious. That was great. Gunther showing a little bit more character from what he's been doing. That's great line. More than likely we see this at Bad Blood. Next up, we got a little recap of the tag title match from last week. Then we see Woods backstage. He's getting ready to go. Then in walks Kofi Kingston. Says, look, I know you wanted some change. This has been my bad. Woods then says, yeah, it's all water under the bridge. Kofi then says, I got an idea to get the New Day back on track. He reaches off camera, grabs a box of Bootios and their unicorn horns, aka their previous gimmick. And then Kofi says, let's bring back what made the New Day popular in the first place. Then Woods brings up a really, really good point. This was fine when we were on top, but it's not going to work now. You've been making nothing but bad decisions. Then Kofi tells Woods, alright, how about this? In the coming weeks, you're going to be our quarterback. You're in charge. Then you hear a It's Chad Gable and American Made with Gable said, you see that, guys? This is what not to do when looking to be successful in the tag division. Then Kofi's like, oh, look behind you, it's Alliance. All of American Made turn around. It's like in Toy Story where Woody says, Buzz, look, an alien! Where? It got me so good. That was good. Then Gable... No, it was one of the Creed brothers. I still cannot tell them apart. He says, tonight we're going to be looking for some serious competition, but we're clearly not going to find it here. Woods then turns to Kofi and says, I want the Creeds. Then Gable snaps in and says, you're better at playing video games than you are a quarterback. You got them tonight. That should be a fun match. I cannot wait for that one. So then we get a Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker hype video. Very nice. Hyping up the main event. Then we see Dom and Liv. They're in the back. They're talking with Adam Pearce. Pretty much saying, with Pearce snapping back, saying, look, you've interfered in every match Liv's had. Dom, you're going to be in that cage, and that's final. So then Priest walks off. Then Liv says, let's worry about that at Bad Blood. Tonight, we're going to worry about the LWO and teach them a lesson. Then it's just Carlito and JD McDonough walk in. It looks like they're about to walk to the ring or whatever. Then they run into Ilya Dragunov. With JD taking the lead for whatever reason, saying, we warned you last week. You shouldn't be here tonight. Then Dragunov kind of smirks and says, yeah, I know that, but I also know you will do nothing. So everyone just kind of walks past him, giving him the evil eye. Says, keep walking, keep it moving until the segment ends. Started something interesting for Ilya Dragunov, I'll admit. I don't know who I see from him going for the tag titles. I don't know. Next up, we got a one-on-one contest as it's Dragon Lee versus Carlito. And yeah, Dragon Lee pretty much overdrives over Carlito. One point, JD distracts Dragon Lee in the ring. With Dom and JD taking out the LWO. Who comes out and makes the save? It's Rey Mysterio. Goes right after Dominic. And as Carlito is distracted, Dragon Lee with a big old poison rana to pick up the win. So, yeah, that was kind of a nothing match. That was more, to set up a future Dom versus Rey match, which I'm not sure when that's going to take place. So next up, we have Miz. He's in the back. He's getting ready to go. Karrion Kross walks in and says, Miz, what are you doing, man? Miz then says, man, I asked for this match. I don't need you out there. Kross then says, I want you to go out there and win, man. Then Miz walks off saying, monsters come in all shapes and sizes. So, yeah, we'll see the Miz in a little bit. Then we move on to a Sheamus interview. Saying, Pete Dunne hit me for 6. With everyone chanting, calling him Butch. I have a score to settle. And there's nothing more dangerous than an Irishman with a score to settle. And while I don't want this to make this Britain versus Ireland, this is going to end up being Britain versus Ireland. Oh, that's going to be a fun one. So next up was supposed to be a match between The Miz and Bronson Reed. But as Bronson Reed was making his entrance, Braun Strowman attacks him. So the match never gets underway. Miz kind of flees to the back. Braun with a big old chokeslam onto the apron. Then The Miz kind of gets in Braun's face before he leaves. Bronson Reed with a big old dive. gets him back in the ring. Reed goes up top, looking to hit a tsunami. But officials come out, they stop him, get him back down on his feet. And then we see both Reed and Strowman just tossing security around. Eventually, Reed does go up, hit a tsunami on a couple of security guards. Braun Strowman with a couple of choke slams to some security guards. They then clear the ring, see each other, get back to brawling. Eventually, security, along with Adam Pearce, come out. They separate the two for a minute, fight back through them. Eventually, they do separate them, with Reed backing off after Pearce telling him something. I didn't really catch it. So, definitely got some good things coming up with Reed and Strowman. And don't worry, we'll get to that one. But up next, we got a promo from Mr. Drew McIntyre. And he says, Punk, I promise I'm going to make you bleed. And you're going to have to kill me to beat me. I'm ready for this to be the end. But I also thinking on what you said. For once, you were real. That's the real Punk. But I always told the truth. I don't want to go back into Hell in a Cell. That match broke me. My family begged me not to do this. They see what this is doing to me, but that doesn't matter what they think. This match is going to happen. I promise I'm going to make you bleed, make you suffer. It's always been about good versus evil. And you've always seen yourself as a godlike figure, but you're just a man. A man I'm going to break permanently in Hell in a Cell. Drew doing his absolute best work out here. And yeah, that Hell in a Cell match is going to be brutal. I can't wait. Next up, we go backstage for an Adam Pearce interview, and he says, Reed and Strowman have gone way too far, so next week it's going to be the two of them in a last monster standing match. Oh boy, that's going to be a fun one. We then cut to commercial, come back, we see Pete Dunne has taken out Sheamus in the back, so that feud is still going on. Then we get this weird little match. As the Unholy Union, that's Alba Fire and Alba Dawn, take on Damage Control, that's Io Sky and Kairi Sane, who have been very, very interesting. Actually, before the match starts, we see Damage Control in the back, they're in Gorilla, hyping themselves up. Then Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair come in, with Bianca telling Io, tell me the next time you want to go again. With Io replying, next time is going to be for the tag titles. Then Jade kind of chimes in saying, I always stand on business. Tonight you focus on the Unholy Union. No matter who wins, the tag titles are going to stay with us. Sky and Kai, that's actually a great name. Sky and Kai then make their entrance and they start it off. And this match felt like it was played in fast forward. Like it was given an insane amount of time, but it felt also really, really rushed. I don't know how to explain it. But eventually the match was won with a Kairi Sane insane elbow to the outside. An over the moonsault by Sky. where your winners are Sky and Kai. And yes, I'm going to keep calling them that. We then get a video recap of Jey Uso and Braun Breaker's promo from last week, which was absolutely fire from Jey Uso. We then go to a Braun Breaker interview. And he says, "Today is game day, means there's going to be a winner and a loser, and after tonight, it's not going to be you, Jey. Someone is getting their ass kicked, and it's not going to be me. I'm going to be a champion for a very long time." We then get this very interesting video that played, in which it was kind of Viking style symbols that say P, F, and R. Now, a lot of people thought, oh, it's Penta and Rey Fenix. No, it's clearly not, because these are Norse runes, and if you put it into a translator, it says war, which to me means that Eric and Ivar are going to be coming back not as the Viking Raiders, but as the War Raiders, their original name from NXT, before they got called up by Vince McMahon and be given a Viking gimmick, which, to be honest, has kind of worked for me lately. But I'm glad they're getting their original stuff together. It's going to be fun. Then this weird thing happened. I kind of came out of nowhere. We had a recap of the Roman Cody face-to-face from SmackDown, which, if you haven't seen that, go check it out. It's so cinematic and it's so good. In which I don't know why this was played. Like, are we turning Raw into recaps of SmackDown now? I don't know. I feel like SmackDown stories should be SmackDown exclusive. Anyway, next up we see Jey Uso. He's warming up in the back. In comes Sami Zayn. Says to Jey Uso, "The Intercontinental title means the world to me. Tonight, you make it yours." They do their little secret handshake thing, with Jey Uso replying, "Thank you, my dog." So, we're going to get that in the main event. But first, we got the New Day, that's Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, taking on American Made, aka Brutus and Julius Creed. And this match, I am so happy they gave this match a lot of time, because these two teams absolutely went to war. This was a great little tag team match player, with Woods starting out, him running the show a little bit more than I thought. Eventually, the Creed brothers fought back in. Kofi whiffing on a Trouble in Paradise, but hitting the SOS. Eventually getting the Trouble in Paradise, tags in Woods. Kofi dives to the outside, and as Woods is getting his hands on whatever Creed brother, Chad Gable gets on the apron to distract Woods. Woods then, with a big old attack to Gable, gets hit by a big knee from Julius Creed, I believe. Woods tries for a crossbody, misses. Brutus then tags in, gets the Brutus Ball, which is a weird tag team finisher, for the win for American Made. Yeah, I'm happy that this match got a big enough showcase. And it's time to bring up the importance of the tag titles again. And that might mean American Made winning them. Although not right this second. So next up, we go backstage to a Damian Priest promo, saying, growing up, I had a saying that I like to use. Am I my brother's keeper? And life brought me to the Judgment Day, a crew that became my family, and a family for me to a brother to keep. We ran WWE, but Finn, you always wanted the spotlight. And while we were all proud of Rhea when she won the women's title, you sat there with a face of envy. And I should have seen this coming. I am my brother's keeper. You had that same face of envy when I won the world title. Finn, you are not my brother. So, hyping up that match, which is, I think, needs a stipulation. Not a big one, like a Hell in a Cell, but like maybe a First Blood match or something. Something like that. Then we get a Wyatt 6 vignette, which I think is either hyping up a new member or hyping up a new target. I'm not 100% sure. We then got a video promo from the Pure Fusion Collective, which is still a horrible name, with Sonya Deville taking the lead, saying, "These groups in the women's division are just built for survival. You do your little dances, you fight for opportunities. We are the Pure Fusion Collective. If you want to step up, take your shot." Alright. I don't know what to think of the Pure Fusion Collective. It's a bad name. They're really not winning. So, hopefully they get this crew back on track. We then see the New Day. They're kind of arguing again in the back. Then the LWO come in, with Rey Mysterio taking the lead, saying, "Look, I apologize for last week. You're the New Day. You'll get through this." Then Words turns to Rey Mysterio, says, "Why don't you go on and give this advice to Dom? Because clearly you've got no time for me. You got plenty of time for Finn. I'm so sick of this." Rey then replies, "You want to fight with me? Fine, next week you get your fight." So we're getting Woods versus Rey Mysterio. If this doesn't trigger the full Xavier Woods heel turn, I don't know what will. We then see a very awesome vignette of the Last Monster Standing match between Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman, with both of them, kaiju size. Eventually both of their faces being replaced by generic T-Rexes. So, yeah, that was really cool. And now we get to our main event of the evening, and it's for the Intercontinental title, as Jey Uso takes on Braun Breaker. And at first, Braun Breaker kind of dominates Jey Uso. Looks like it's going to be a very quick match. Eventually, Jey Uso does fight back. One point, Jey Uso goes for a big old Uso splash. Whiffs. Breaker goes for a military press. That gets countered into a Samoan drop, only for a 2. Then Breaker gets Jey Uso on the top rope. Kind of slips on the ropes a little. Hits a beautiful Frankensteiner from the top, only for a 2. Then eventually gets a Steiner line into a power slam for a 2. Breaker then gets Jey Uso to the outside. It's a big old super spear. Gets him back in. Takes a moment to gloat a little bit. Jey Uso hits a spear. Goes up, hits an Uso splash, only for a 2. Breaker sets up for the spear. Jey Uso counters it with a super kick. Breakker rolls to the outside. Jey Uso with a big old spear through the barricade. Gets Breakker back in. Hits a spear and an Uso splash. And your winner and new Intercontinental Champion, main event, Jey Uso. Now, personally, I'm a little conflicted on this because I didn't want Braun Breaker's title run to end just yet. However, I am more than okay for Jey Uso winning the Intercontinental title. He definitely needs to live up to the moniker at least once, and I feel like this is as good a time as any. And look, not to say this is going to be a long Jey Uso run, because I could potentially see Breakker winning it, maybe not at Bad Blood, but maybe at the Saudi show. That's coming along after Survivor Series. But yeah, I think it's been more than time for Jey Uso to hold a singles title. And I don't think there's a lot of talk of, oh, this move diminishes the Intercontinental title. No, it really doesn't. Because Jey Uso has been so popular, and he has been a talent that has needed a breakout singles run for some time now. And look, eventually he's going to reunite with the Bloodline. Maybe for Survivor Series. So, I'm definitely more than okay with this title change. So, that was Monday Night Raw. My only issue with this show, if I have any, is, Miz not getting his match. Although, I'm not exactly the biggest Miz fan, but I would have liked to see what Reed would have done. So, that is Monday Night Raw. We now move on to NWA Power. Originally, we were going to get just Joe Alonzo versus Damian Fenrir one-on-one. But before that match started, Joe Alonzo was involved in an interview saying, "This is an understatement. I'm annoyed. This isn't good for the NWA that I have to be here and face a guy I've already beaten. This is lazy booking from William Patrick Corgan. Oh, I forgot. He's not here while I'm forced to be here. It is more than clear that NWA isn't a priority for Billy Corgan. Before he can continue, out comes acting CEO of NWA, that's Matt Cardona, aka the former Zack Ryder. With Cardona saying, "Joe, I don't think we've ever met." They shake hands, "But I know exactly who you are. You're a natural champ. You're the future of the NWA. But you got a big mouth. You never disrespect Billy Corgan again. So you think you're too good for Fenrir? You think you should have a marquee match here tonight? Well, there's a lot of hungry competition in the back. So how about tonight we have an 8-man junior heavyweight scramble match for the title tonight." So then Joe snaps back and says, "Who the hell do you think you are? The NWA is my show, and I clearly don't listen to anyone." So Joe Alonzo drops the microphone. He goes to walk off. Cardona gets the microphone back to his lips and says, "One last thing, Joe. Get me a ref." Referee runs past Joe Alonzo, and Joe Alonzo's way is blocked by 7 other competitors, including his original opponent. Now, I'm going to say this. I did not get everyone's name from this match. So we got the junior heavyweight scramble match. Joe Alonzo versus Damian Fenrir versus a whole field of other guys. And this match felt really, really familiar. It felt kind of like, the X Division back in the day for TNA. Oh, the X Division now for TNA. It was very, very fast. It was very, I don't want to say flippy, but it was flippy. But I don't really care that much because I like flippy. Everyone gets their good amount of stuff in. Although it was kind of a, 2 men in, 2 men out kind of situation. So it wasn't the full 8 men against each other. It was just kind of a bunch of 1-on-1 / 2-on-2s, which was interesting. With eventually Joe Alonzo hitting the Joey Special against his original opponent to retain his title. So it looks like Alonzo still keeps his belt. We then get an EC3 versus Tom Latimer hype video, followed by a sit-down interview where they're at another location. With Latimer taking charge, saying, "Why should there be people in the arena? Forget nostalgia." Actually, this isn't EC3. We are in the second era of my reign, and a place to be watched, a congregation of reign, not just doing this for myself. A day comes where No, this is Latimer now. The day comes where I beat this man. EC3 retorts, "Fate is intriguing. NWA 76, it's like we are destined to do this forever. Tom, you're a good man. You do this for your wife. But a great man, like myself, does it for himself." Latimer retorts, "Yes, you have that. No, this is still EC3. You crave it, but you have nothing left. You're a walking corpse." Latimer then says, "I'm tired of your interview. We don't need to wait. Let's do this right here, right now." EC3 then retorts, "That's always been your problem, Tom. You're a slugger. I'm a dancer. Tell me the truth I need to hear. At NWA 76, I have nothing to lose. What will I do to keep it? You want to do it now, in front of nobody? Nah, I want the biggest crowd possible to watch me kick your ass." So then, the interviewer just then kind of disappears, and they have a little face-off, while still sitting in their chairs. So, definitely an interesting sit-down interview, building to NWA 76, which is going to be going down next week. At least this title match. So, that should be interesting. We then get an interview from the Southern Six, saying, "Our history, our legacy are etched in stone. Everybody wants to be us, but there is no one like us. Hey Knox, Murdoch, how are you guys doing?" At NWA 76, the Southern Six are coming in hot. And we are hardcore to even score. NWA 76 is in Take Your Son to Work Day. So I'm going to beat that little man within an inch of his life, as there are stars in the southern sky. So, nice little interview with these heels. Gonna be interesting to see what Thrillbilly Silas Mason does to Eric Smalls, if he does anything. Then we get this weird little matchup, as it's Baron Von Storm and Jack Stane taking on the Slime Balls to find the number 1 contenders to the United States Tag Team titles. And yeah, was a very weird match to start off with Baron von Storm taking on Rant, who is the powerhouse of the group. Definitely interesting dynamic, with Storm really not taking any bumps, but taking a couple of shots, teasing the Iron Claw a bit. Eventually, he does get it into Sage, but Rand saves him. Eventually, Jax Dane gets in. It's a suplex on Sage. Rand then tags in, and it's kind of a hoss fight for a minute. Slime balls with a slip and slime, which is I guess is their tag finisher, but that doesn't get anything. Rand tags in, tries to fight off Jax Dane, then hits the Pop the Trunk into Trap City for the submission win. Post-match, Baron von Storm gets the Iron Claw on Sage. Jax Dane then stops Storm from further damaging Sage. So, yeah, I think this match was more of a showcase of the evolution of the Baron von Storm character, along with Jax Dane, which is fine. We'll see how the United States Tag Title match goes. But we're looking at our main event, and it is a 10-person tag team match playa as the Southern Six, so that's Alex Taylor, Kerry Von Erich, and Thrillbilly Silas Mason, as they're teaming with Reka Tahaka and Tiffany Nieves, taking on AJ and KC Kazana, aka the Country Gentleman, Burchill, aka Paul Burchill, if you remember him, and Big Mama, who is an interesting little character, and Taylor Rising, who I am very surprised to see her here. This match was a little bit... It was interesting, to say the least. Everyone definitely worked well together. There was a moment where Alex Taylor was in. Then Taylor Rising tagged in, and then Kerry Morton tagged in. Both men wanted to kiss her. So Taylor Rising was like, they go in for the double kiss. Taylor moves. They end up kissing each other, which is definitely a very old school gimmick that usually happens between heels. I don't particularly love it, but I don't know. Eventually, Reka Tahaka and Big Mommy get tagged in, and it's pretty much a slugfest from there. Eventually, Tiffany Nieves has the branding iron of Joe Kazana, who is ringside for his boys. Joe takes it away. Then Reka Tahaka gets in Joe's face, hits him with a headbutt. Then Taylor Rising hits a spear on Nieves. In runs Thrillbilly Silas Mason and a thrill ride. So your winners, the Southern Six, Reka Tahaka, and Tiffany Nieves. That main event was so confusing and just... It felt really old school Territory days, which, considering the name of the show is Back to the Territories, I guess makes sense. And it's definitely a very interesting way to end Back to the Territories. So, yeah, definitely a very mixed bag for NWA Power. I'm going to say this also. Apparently, NWA Power has been shown on the CW app, but apparently after this after this Tuesday, that's going away. So I'm not sure where we're going to see NWA Power next. Hopefully it's somewhere where I can see it easily. So, yeah, that'll do it for me. Sorry, no AEW Dynamite. But that should return as soon as Agatha All Along finishes up. So, also, I'm going to be missing SmackDown, Rampage, and Collision this week, as I had some unexpected plans. So, Monday, instead of a regular review, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to bring to you a different kind of predictions, as I'm going to try to predict the entirety of WrestleMania 41's card. It's coming pretty fast. And, yeah, I want to see if I can properly predict what's going down. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. Till next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.